Hey everyone, welcome back to 4J Music. You know, I've spent the last couple of hours doing maintenance on my drums, and I just realized I should have probably been recording this because there's so many people out there that don't quite know how to maintenance their drums and what to do. And so today I want to talk to you about that. If you're a director out in the middle of West Texas, you don't have anybody that can come out and help you, maybe some of this will help you. And really one of the main things I want to talk about today is free floating snare drums, okay? And so let me show you what a non-free floating snare drum looks like. This is just one of our concert drums here, kind of a drum set drum. And if you notice, you know, obviously we have the rim here. And once I start tightening on these tension rods, it's putting pressure down on the head. Now that has to be tightened onto something, right? It's pulling on something, and it's pulling on this little guy right here that's attached to the shell. So really the shell has to be strong enough to be able to withstand all of the tension that you're putting down on it from the rim. And so if this shell was a cheap shell, or if I put a really a super duper heavy head on there, theoretically the shell could incave because of all the pressure that I'm putting, all the tension that I'm putting on the snare drum, okay? Many moons ago, many percussion experts kind of put their brains together, and they're trying to find a way to be able to have a lot more tension on a marching snare so that it would sound better outside without making the shell incave. And so they came up with this system right here, which is a free floating snare drum, which is what you see in most schools across the state or the country or whatever. And so what you notice is we have the same kind of system here where you have a rim. The tension rods are actually pulling onto this other, very strong piece of metal, okay? And so instead of the tension being put on a piece of wood, you have the tension being put on this piece of metal right here. And the wood is basically just for tone and for looks. The reason I tell you all that is because I've been to a lot of football games where I have noticed that, I look across the field and I see XYZ high school and they have really nice drums, but instead of having heads that are meant for the actual free floating drums, they have regular heads that you would see like on the snare drum that I showed you at first, okay? Just the regular mylar or plastic heads. And so you're basically, if you're doing that, you're driving a Ferrari and never going past third gear, right? And so that would be kind of silly. And so it gets the job done. You're probably able to still go to contests and maybe do really, really well. But what you want to do eventually is kind of move out of that and get a what we call a Kevlar head. This is an old one, but this material is very, very, very strong, and it's able to withstand a lot more tension. You want to approach changing a marching head very similar to the way you would changing out a drum set, a tom or a snare drum. Just be really careful about the tension and make sure that you're evenly distributing it from side to side. The main difference is you're dealing with more lugs and a lot more tension, okay? So just be really careful before you start, putting a lot of tension. What I like to do is I like to just put the head on, finger tighten, come back a little bit later, and then maybe put some more tension and just maybe kind of spread it out so you're not doing it all at once. But that's just me. I want to show you also the bottom head is something that sometimes people don't want to deal with the bottom head because it's got some other like parts on it. You don't know how to maybe get those out of the way. It's really, really simple. Most drums have some sort of mechanism like I'm about to show you. I'm dealing with a Yamaha Sforzando. The snares are really easy to take off. That's something that people really, maybe they shy away from dealing with that, okay? The reason I'm changing out the bottom heads is because they didn't match. We had several different types of heads, and they didn't match, so I found some like heads, and we're gonna go ahead and get that fixed today. This is what I wanted to show you right here is the snares are still across. I can't take the rim or the head off until I get the snares out of the way. And so you look at this mechanism right here that on the throw off switch on this particular type of drum, all you got to do is loosen this guy right here, and sometimes it does help to have the snares off so that it's a little higher, and you just keep loosening that until it pops off. Let's see if I can get it. There you go. It just comes off, and this whole piece right here, you can thread it out of this little mechanism right there. It's very easy to put back through there later on. It's almost like hard to do it wrong. So you can set this out of the way and then continue to take off all your tension rods. And then once you get your head on there, you put the rim back on and you tighten everything. You don't want to have your bottom head too tight. You do want to be careful with these little feet. You want to make sure those stay on there, okay? The other thing to watch out for is that you have these little gaps right here for the snares to go back on. So you want to make sure that you put those, as you take the head off and you put the new head on, you want to put those gaps right here. Again, the main difference is that you are going to be dealing with way more lugs. You're also going to be dealing with a little more tension, especially on the batter head side. All right. All right, I finally got the head changed, and so what I'm going to do is go ahead and thread the snares through, and so you'll see what I'm talking about. You can just put them through that little opening on the on this side here with the. Sorry, I gotta use my hands here. And then this little part will only fit the right way. I think if you try to do it the wrong way, it won't go. So you can just only do it the right way. Push that in. And as far as getting this to screw back into that little into this little rod, it'll make it a lot easier if you have the snare off. So you can pull that up. You'll see the opening is right there underneath the end of the snares, and then you'll be able to get that tightened on there. So really easy. Don't be afraid of it. These things were built like tanks. All right, hope that helps you guys out. One other thing I want to say is that you don't want to do any work on a marching snare drum, with a free floating drum for that matter, without some sort of like torque key. My torque key's missing. They tend to walk off when I let students borrow them, but this is the one that I have right now that I'm using. It's a little bit easier to get more tension on that. So you want something like that. If you have a regular drum set key, or whatever that you put on your keychain, that is not going to do that. I've actually seen some of those break. We're talking about a lot of tension here. So just make sure that you're doing, the right thing for your drums. Grease the lugs when you pull them out and everything, just to have the right maintenance on them. And there's a lot of tension in there, metal on metal. So you want to make sure you're taking care of that, all right? Thanks, and I hope this helps you. Bye-bye.